To play Warfall, each player will need a standard deck of cards. He will need the provided unit cards and also the provided fate cards, which lets the player use miracles that will influence the battlefield. You will need also some dice. The dice are only used to keep track of damage and conditions, some minis that he owns, and some 3D terrain, or you can use the provided terrain cards with the game. Then you will need to build a battlefield. You can use 3D models that you own. You can set them up any way you want as long as it's inspiring for you and your friend, or you could use the provided terrain cards. These cards go directly on the battlefield and they either block line of sight or they can be moved upon and have different abilities or characteristics for each of them. So you can use either or system to build the battlefield. Once the battlefield is set up, each player will build a warband worth 30 points of units. So this is the faction symbol, the name, the point value, its toughness, so how much damage it can suffer before being defeated, its willpower, its movement, initiative, defense, attack and reach of attack, and his abilities. And then he chooses one captain amongst the unit he's chosen. That captain will receive a fate card, and with the fate will give him access to different miracles to influence the battlefield. Then each player deploys his units. The units must be equidistant from each other and at their edge on their board. And once the unit have been deployed, each player will draw up to 7 cards from their deck and will play cards to move, attack, defend, and for the initiative. So the cards work as such. Numbered cards are worth 1, figure cards are worth 2. Spades will apply +1 if they are used during an attack. Clubs +1 for movement. Diamonds +1 for initiative, and hearts +1 for defense. And if I play a pair, I'll apply another +2 to these 2 cards. And if I play 2 cards of the same suit, I will apply another +1. So here it will be worth in defense 3, 4, 5, 6 because of the same suit. And I add my unit's base value based on what I do. Here, if it's in defense, it's worth 2. So these are the basics for playing the cards. To determine which unit goes when, we move on to the initiative phase. So for that phase, you will need to play up to 2 cards from your hand or the top of your deck. If you play from the top of your deck, you're not allowed to look at it. And basically, you place the cards face down next to each unit you control, combining them with the top card of your deck or your hand. You must play at least 1 card, and once all the units have initiative cards assigned to them, you reveal them, and then to determine the initiative order, you apply the cards played value plus the unit's initiative value. This will determine the final initiative value for that unit. And then starting with the unit with the highest initiative, its controller decides if he waits or if he activates that unit. If he waits, then it goes to the next unit with the highest initiative value, and the controller decides if he waits or activates that unit. And the unit with the lowest initiative value must activate. So after the initiative phase is done, each player will draw back up to 7 cards in hand. And then if that player decides to activate his unit, he will have access to different actions. So the actions he can do will be moving, attacking, focusing, bolstering, and guarding. And basically, to do an action, a player must first discard a card from his hand. And if he repeats the same action, then he needs to discard 2 cards. If he repeats the same action, If he repeats a third time, he'll need to discard 3 cards. But if he does different actions, he just discards 1 card each different action he does. So for example, here I discarded my 2. For movement, the affinity for movement is the clubs. So the clubs apply +1 to the card value. So here, for example, if I play these 2 cards, I have a number that is worth 1, so 2, and the clubs apply a +1 for movement, so that would be worth 4. And since I have 2 clubs is the same suit, I apply another +1, so that would be worth 5. And then I add that unit's movement value. So here the movement value is 2. So here I would have 5, 6, 7 movement points. And in Warfall, the movement points, you use the poker card itself as the measuring tool. So the 2 MPs is the short side of a poker card. So for example, here with 7 movement points, I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I could move up to 7 movement points. Also, movement points are used if I want to reload. It's 2 movement points. Rising up, if I was prone, it's 2 movement points as well. Knocking an arrow, 1 movement point. Looting is 4 movement points. So the movement points have different use as well. If I bolster, then I play cards from my hand with affinity with diamond that are worth 2 or more. So for example, this card would be worth 3. So to do a bolster, I would need to discard a card first and then play a card worth 2 affinity with diamonds. So this is worth 3. And then I would receive a bolster token. So I would apply a bolster to my unit, and at that unit's next activation, the controller will draw an extra card for each bolster token. I can also assign a guard to it. The guard, basically, I would need to discard a card, and the guard has affinity with hearts. And basically, if I play cards worth 2+, I receive a guard token. And when I'm attacked, for each guard, I can remove to apply a +1 to defense. And the last action I can do is focus. When you focus, you draw 3 cards and then discard 3 cards. So if you have a bad hand, you can always focus to do your hand. Once you finish your activation, you and your opponent each draw back to 7 cards in hand. And then we go to the next, to the unit with the highest initiative value. And his controller decides if he activates or waits. So basically, having the highest initiative gives you always the choice when you want to activate. So now we will look at the combat for the game. So of course I have 7 cards in hand. So basically, for the combat, you will need to first move within attack reach for that unit. So for example here, 4 is the attack power, 0 to 1 is the distance in MP for the reach for the attack. So basically I must first be in that at that distance to do it. So for example here I will need to move. So to move I will, for example, discard this, and then I will move. My base movement for this unit is 1, so I would need about 3, 4 movement. I have a reach of 1, so I would need about 2 movement points total. So I will discard, for example, this one, so that gives me 1, 2 movement. 2. Would that be enough? I don't think so. So I will play this pair. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 movement points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And the movement points, I don't lose them in between the activations. And then also the angle of attack, because this will determine where the opponent will move back. So if I attack this way, the opponent has to move back 2 MP to get his full defense. If he doesn't, he applies -1 to his defense. So basically, by attacking this way, he can move back and get his full defense. But if I attack this way, he has to move away from me, and he doesn't have enough distance because of the trunk. So basically, statistically, it would be better for me to attack in this direction so it cannot move back. So we'll apply -1. And then for my attack, I will discard this and play these two. So that's worth 3, 4, 5, plus my attack value of 4. So I have a total attack of 9. His defense is 1. But now he cannot move back, so he'll apply -1 to his defense. So basically he can play cards to defend. And his cards, the affinity for the defense is hearts. So for example here, he could play his king, so that's worth 3, because 2 for the figure, 1 for the heart, plus 2 for the other king. So that's 5 plus 2 because it's a pair, so 7. 7 plus 1 because of the defense, so 8, but -1 because he cannot move back. So in this case, he would take 2 damage. And so basically I keep track of damage with a small red d6. And if ever he suffers enough damage to equal its toughness, the unit dies. And if that happens, the unit is placed face down on the battlefield and it can be looted. So a unit can spend 3 movement points to loot a unit. It can be your own unit as long as it's dead to qualify. You roll a d6 and the d6 will determine what you get. Usually a consumable, could be bandages or poison, or you could get extra fate or things like that. So the looting mechanic lets you take advantage if you're ever in a bad position. So once all units have activated, basically there are no more initiative card assigned to any unit. The turn ends and basically you go back to the initiative phase and repeat the process until one side eliminate all the other side units, and of course that side wins. There are also the fate cards that you can use. For the fate cards, this is available for the captain of your warband. So it receives 4 fates, and you can spend fate at any time to use them to do miracles. And miracles will let you influence the battlefield. For example, here I can fetch a joker in my deck and bring it to my hand by spending 2 fate, or I can revise, which means I reshuffle the top 10 cards of my discard pile back into my deck. So these miracles let you save or influence the battlefield in a very meaningful way. In Warfall, there's a mode where you can play against the AI. So basically the AI will build a warband composed of random units from the opposing fate. And basically you will do increasingly difficult fights. So the first fight you start with 10 points worth of units and at medium difficulty, and basically if you succeed you recruit 10 more points of unit and you fight against the AI. The AI will go to challenging difficulty, and if you win then you recruit 10 more points of units and the AI will go to tough difficulty. If you succeed all 3 battles, you win that mode against the AI. So there's that, and there's coming up a campaign mode where you can travel a map, explore different regions, do contracts, all against the AI. Warfall is available to download for free on itch, and join our Discord channel to give us feedback and help improve the game and shape its future.